Tuesday, March 7th, 2023, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. I am your host, Ben Allison, and today I am joined by, firstly, to my left, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Anthony?
Doing well. This is fun. It's rare when I do a Tuesday Raw review.
Yeah, and we've got a lot to get into about last night's Raw as well, including that phenomenal turn from Jey Uso. But on my right, we have Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I'm stoked to be back. I had my day off. I missed out on the Revolution commentary, but I was on the pre-show, so who cares? It was a blast, and Anthony's on a roll, man. Is he on every day these days? I love this. I need more Anthony in my life anyway, and I'm glad we get him every day on the daily broadcast.
I'm not chasing your shriek.
I was walking home earlier, and I just had the thought when I was sending out the times for the podcast today, and I was like, hang on a second. Anthony might have actually been on the podcast more than both me and you have this last 2 weeks.
I think in 7 days, maybe the last 7. I think we're right there.
Yeah, I mean that is very interesting. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about
I thought
today.
I was Joe DiMaggio until Anthony from Philly comes and steps on my toes. I'm kidding.
We've been on a roll lately, guys, and Anthony's been on a roll lately, and we're going to continue that roll today. And as Soul's saying in the comments, Anthony might be trying to take the MVP of the Republic title.
I'm just trying to take the VP.
Oh, gosh. But let's get into Monday Night Raw, should we? And let's firstly get into the bloodline, as we've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about it early, as there's a lot to talk about, and we all want to talk about it. Last night's episode of Raw kicked off with Kevin Owens facing the Enforcer Solo Sikoa. And this was a fun match, but they did exactly what I said they should have done in the Sami Zayn match last week and had a disqualification end the match. I don't know why they didn't do this in the Sami Zayn one. Sami didn't need to lose to Solo. I'm still slightly annoyed that he lost to Solo on SmackDown, but whatever. Kevin Owens won by disqualification, and Jimmy Uso tried to take out Kevin Owens, but in the end, Kevin Owens took them both out. But then throughout the night, actually during one of the backstage segments during the night, and I love this little detail, you could see Cody Rhodes talking to Kevin Owens in the background. So clearly Cody was trying to persuade Kevin to help Sami out, because Sami asked him for help following that segment earlier on in the night, and Kevin basically said no. But then in the main event of the evening, we had Jimmy Uso versus Sami Zayn, and it was a very fun match. But it's what happened after the match which took all the headlines, right? Towards the end of the match, Jey Uso was in the stands, returned, the crowd went nuts, or the Jey chants. Jey then came down, stood on the commentary desk before Sami Zayn won via roll-up because of the distraction from Jey Uso, basically. After the match, Sami was celebrating. Jey walks into the ring, stands face to face with Jimmy, grabs Jimmy by the shirt, and then decides to walk past him. Jey then goes down to buy Sami, has a stare-off with Sami just like he did with Jimmy, but then they embrace, they hug, they throw up the one sign. Jey says he chooses Sami, all that stuff. The crowd's going wild. They honestly cannot believe it. It was such a great crowd reaction. Everyone was in shock. They thought the bloodline really had fallen. It even tricked me. And then out of nowhere, Jey Uso super kicks Sami Zayn in a turn which I did not see coming. I mean, yes, of course, I thought the Usos versus Zayn and Owens at Mania was happening, but in that moment, I really thought Jey had turned face and joined Sami. I did not expect them to do a double turn. It was brilliant, perfectly executed. Dare I say, the best turn in WWE since Seth Rollins. Maybe I'll regret that comment, to be honest, if that's just off the top of my head, but I think it could well have been. It was phenomenal, and Anthony Ricciardi's quote this morning was, that is how you end the Raw on the road to WrestleMania, and I completely agree. So I'll pass it to you first, Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, this whole angle has been done so expertly, and we've talked about this multiple times. Just the little things, like I loved the Sammy interaction with KO in the back, trying to convince him, and KO being as sarcastic as he can be, saying, "You know what? Why don't you go apologize to Roman? I'm sure he'll take you back." Like it was so like he's so done with Sammy, but you know they're going to end up partnering back up at some point. I do love the fact that they are dragging this out,
Yeah.
because they could easily go them back together against the Usos. But that laid the groundwork for what happened later on in the night. And I know people commented and went, "Oh, I saw the turn. I saw the turn." Like, yeah, you assume the Usos were eventually going to go against KO and Sammy, but I really don't buy 100% every person that insists that, "Oh no, I knew that was going to happen after the hug." That hug was not anticipated. Like when I saw that, I'm going, "Are they swerving us?" Because this whole angle's been nonstop. You think they're zigging and they're zagging. So it threw me for a second, but it made complete sense. Ultimately, family's going to choose family. It's blood. He was ultimately going to do it for Jimmy. Now, did he do it for Roman as part of the bloodline? No, I think he did it more for Jimmy because Jimmy was going to get the repercussions if Jey didn't come back. So I think he did it more for his twin as opposed to the bloodline as a whole.
Yeah, and there's a rumor, not a rumor, speculation among fans today on social media that perhaps Jey actually will cost Roman at WrestleMania. And perhaps he really did only take out Sami Zayn to protect Jimmy because he would have, got kicked out on Friday. So there is the rumor that Jey still will be the person to take down the bloodline, be the final straw in it. I kind of hope that's the case, as I really don't want the bloodline to be around after WrestleMania. I think it's the perfect end. The fact that, all the pillars of it have just crumbled. I really do like that idea. But what do you think about it all, Clark?
I think you guys covered a lot of it, and I got to give you some credit. You did the call on the Sammy and Solo match, the finish and everything. You've been on a roll lately with WWE television. The finish of the show, too, Anthony, spot on with your takes and your thoughts on that. The only thing I really want to add to that is, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about it. Have we seen a more valuable super kick than that on television in decades? I mean, that was like outside of a Sweet Chin Music. I don't know that we've seen, it's funny. We talk a lot about super kicks and super kicks being, overused or whatever. I guess when time and place and storyline add up, heck, a super kick still plays.
Yep.
And that one definitely did. It sucked all the wind out of the building, and that pop for the initial embrace and the initial exchange between Sammy and Jey was just as good as you could ask for. It was so fun to me, but I did find it funny that it was just a simple super kick. We complain about too many of them, maybe too often, because when properly placed and properly utilized, it still lands.
Absolutely, it doesn't. Not only that, but Jey delivered it perfectly. Sammy sold it perfectly. It was the best looking super kick I've seen in I don't know how long. Which I'm so glad about too, because it was such a big moment in this storyline. I mean, I really hope they don't mess it up from here, because it's this close now to being the best WWE storyline of the decade, easily, maybe beyond that. Truthfully, I think it could go down as one of the greatest of all times, of all time. And I think one thing which is really notable, actually, is the length of this storyline and how people at the start of it. People actually, at the very start, people were like, well, why is Sami Zayn trying to join the bloodline? This is awful booking by Vince, blah, blah, blah. Let's be honest, we don't know if it would have gone to this point if Vince was still booking. But it was Vince who started it all. And people complained a lot about it. And it's ended up turning into this, one of the best storylines. And I don't know how long. It was so random. But it's just all the pieces are coming together now. And I truly, truly do love it. I mean, do you have any predictions about what will happen next, Anthony?
I mean, that's the thing. This whole angle's been nonstop. You guess, but you don't know. I mean, ultimately, I do think it's going to be the Usos against KO and Sammy. Whether or not they're reluctant tag partners, I think what happened last night, obviously we'll get them closer to it, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be, no, we're back together like next week. I think we might not get the confirmation that they're together until the last Raw before Mania.
Yeah. Could well be true. And Clark, my question for you is, do you think this actually could main event night one of WrestleMania?
The tag match?
Yeah, the tag match.
I kind of hope not, to be honest.
Oh.
I think it could. I think it'd be silly to have both Bloodline angles main event both nights. I would almost prefer to have the tag match be the opener, whichever night they put Reigns on the end of the card on.
Oh,
I think that would make things interesting. I also think it keeps people in ring gear, per se, for the main event. If you put them on separate nights and you bury the Bloodline night one, it changes the main event night two. If Kevin and Sami win, it changes the momentum. It changes the outlook. I don't want that storyline to be hurt headed into Cody Roman. The Cody factor, and this isn't Cody's fault, because Cody's story is arguably the second best one going besides the Bloodline story. And they're for different reasons, right? It's not as long, but I mean, Cody finished the story is pretty darn good in and of itself. I think that needs to be the headliner. The Bloodline thing, if you can solve it, maybe in the opener night one, and then you send I'd be fine with, or the opener night two. But for the Bloodline to be involved in both main events, I think it hurts the one-on-one match between Cody and Roman too much. I would prefer not.
It wouldn't shock me if they're on two separate nights. I could see the tag match being on night one. I mean, night two is definitely Cody and Roman. That's without question.
Right.
But I mean, I could see them go either way with it. I could either see the night opening of night two with the tag titles and them losing and Roman being mad. Like, either way, Roman's going to be mad at them, whether they lose at night one or they lose it in night two. So I think they'll play that out either way, but I don't think it'll main event. I think they're probably going towards Charlotte and Rhea, I would assume, probably for night one. It would be my guess, but that's just a strict guess.
I mean, my opinion on it is that Sami deserves the main event. He absolutely does.
I would put them in there. I just don't think they're going to.
And I mean, the argument you put, Clark, about them losing, I understand it, but it'd be the exact same if they open night two. No matter what the tag match is going to be on before the world title match. So, and I don't even think that's bad, because I think having the Usos losing and making Reigns angry, yes, maybe I guess you could say it does make it a little bit more predictable, but at the same time, it also protects Roman to a degree of, he was thrown off, his bloodline crumbled around him heading into that factor. So when he returns, he'll still be seen as really, really strong. But yeah, I mean, I honestly think, right, this storyline is good enough to main event both nights. Usually, yes, I'd be like, give it something else, but I don't think Charlotte and Rhea comes close to this. I don't think Bianca Asuka comes close to this. I don't think anything comes close to this.
I agree with you, Ben. And personally, I feel with WrestleMania, the two best stories are the ones that should be main eventing both nights. But it seems like WWE seems to go, one of the women's storylines main events night one and one of the men's. I don't think you should do that. I get why they're doing it, but at the same point, I think it's the best stories should be the ones main eventing the shows.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
They didn't last year, though, so they might not do it again.
I've got a feeling about night one, maybe the way that they did kind of a non-traditional main event, even though we all kind of knew Stone Cold and KO would be a match night one last year. I'm wondering if maybe you do go with what I said about the Curtain Jerker night two being the tag match, but night one you end with a segment, maybe like a family meeting, and that's when The Rock appears. That's when you get The Rock, and The Rock is who throws everything off, because The Rock doesn't support the whole family. There's no match yet. You tease it down the road. Then Jimmy and Jay lose the opener of night two. Then you can play a segment during night two, to your point, about Roman being upset and thrown off by both, the double whammy. You get your Rock pop, you get your Rock appearance, you insert him into the Bloodline storyline, and you tease Rock and Reigns, as we thought we were going to get tonight. You open with the tag match night 2, and it's an absolute banger. But then the combination leading into the main event, you see Reigns becoming more and more frustrated as night 2 goes on, but you kind of keep him off of the beginning of the night 1 card, because I think if you have a main eventing, truly main eventing, you have the match night 1 as opposed to like a segment type thing like that. I just think it could overshadow the rest of the card to an extent that would be frustrating night 1, right? Let's keep Bloodline off TV till the very end night 1, then get us back. Everyone that's going both nights is likely already decided they're going night 2 as well. But right, let's build some extra excitement for the next morning, next afternoon, next day.
Yeah, I just
night 1 with something like that.
Cody.
That would be my idea. That would be the only fear.
Well, I think,
but that's why I think if you put Rock night 1,
I think you could do Rock night 1. I mean, honestly, I think it would be disappointing if Rock doesn't at least make an appearance. I could see him doing something with the Miz, as the host thing, taking shots at him. And you could really do, if you are going to eventually do Roman and Rock, if you get this match, whether it's WrestleMania 40 or maybe it never happens, but if you're building the block for it, you could ultimately have Roman go, as responsible as Sami was for bringing it down, it was you. You crumbled my bloodline by distracting by costing us the tag titles, by getting our heads, costing me my world title. Like, you could do a number of things. You could even say behind the scenes, I know you've been screwing with me as the head of the table behind the scenes with the family. Like, there's a number of things you could do with that. It writes itself, really.
You've actually sold me on it, Clark. When you started talking, I was like,
I could tell.
Now I'm kind of sold on it. And Saul in the comments is asking, I don't think The Rock is needed for Mania.
And you would be wrong.
Okay.
How about Wanted?
I mean, well, here's the thing. Here's why he is. It's a mainstream. A lot of that crowd's casual, mainstream crowd, right? It really is. It's Hollywood, and it's
in LA. Yeah,
it's not a like just a normal wrestling show. It's a mainstream
smart crowd.
show.
It's a smart crowd too.
Yeah, it truly is. And they bought tickets expecting to see The Rock, because The Rock was heavily teased. The Rock even teased it himself, and of course, the dirt sheets got everyone's hopes up as
Vicious
well.
Dirt sheets.
But yeah, I mean, it's whatever, right? And Saul's also asking how many questions for each night. I wonder. I think the plan is 6 to 7 currently. They really don't want to do many. I think actually 5 to 7 is actually what I heard. They don't want to do as many this year. They want to keep it, which is annoying, I guess, some people, because it means less people, who will be on the card, but it makes it feel more special and will also make it feel not too long.
And the matches will probably be longer themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
To make up for the time, yeah.
You would assume.
And I'm glad to see that too. But now let's head on to the next topic, because we've talked about this for quite some time now. And the next thing I want to talk about is John Cena's return last night to WWE Raw. He came out, Austin Theory came out, and then Austin Theory challenged him to a WrestleMania match. John Cena then cut a promo and basically murdered Austin Theory. He said that Austin Theory doesn't have it. He's just not good enough. People don't care. He doesn't want to do the match as he's not important enough, basically, for him to do the match. And Cena basically said that it doesn't make sense why Austin Theory isn't liked by the fans. Because Austin Theory's good in the ring, he looks good, he's got everything which WWE management want. However, he just doesn't have it, and you can't teach it. And yeah, Cena basically murdered him. Theory then came back with a thing about John Cena's bald spot. Didn't really go down well, because Cena covered it up really well, actually not literally, as he took the cap off, but you get the point. It was a really, really good segment, but I came out of this segment thinking to myself, damn, Austin Theory, it is make or break for him at this point. It really is. And I don't mean whether or not he's going to win the match. Of course he's going to win the match. But is he, we felt the same way about John Cena years ago. We did. We felt the same way about Roman Reigns years ago. We did. Not even years ago, only a few years back, we thought that about Roman Reigns. We were like, they don't have the charisma. Well, look at them now, right? So you can't teach it, I'd say, but it can come out of nowhere. Well, nowhere. It can come out of hard work and whatever. But I honestly think that this storyline Austin Theory really needs, and he really needs to do well, because he could be WWE's next top star, or he could be destined to stay in the mid card for the rest of his career. And I really hope that doesn't happen. But John Cena's promo, it sold the match, but it also kind of put Austin Theory's career on the line. But what did you think about it all, Clark?
I mean, my thoughts on Theory. The generic Trunks line got me so good. Cena, I've been saying that for ages. Like, what? And it's hilarious because Cena basically wore the same style generic Trunks out of the gates when he did the ruthless aggression line. The it thing, it is what it is. I loved what Cena said. The entire segment was entertaining. It was great, but he just tooled him on the microphone. He made him look silly, and then to flick him in the nuts. He made him look silly. He made him look really, really, really silly. I understand maybe there wasn't going to be a response last night, but the next encounter, Theory better look a heck of a lot better, because this is dangerous territory. I've thought he's just a pretty, good-looking kid in generic Trunks for a long time. I've been saying that. I don't see it. I didn't see his promo strength with the golden egg. I didn't see his promo strength when he took the F5 from Brock, or coming back. I didn't see his promo strength against Lashley in the United States Championship feud, and I didn't see any promo strength last night. He better have something to say that's serious and smart, because that might be the it that John Cena is talking about. I don't think the it is charisma. There's charisma there, but boy, can he not go toe-to-toe on the mic with anyone. I mean, could you imagine putting him opposite MJF, Ricky Starks, opposite Edge? I mean, Cena had to have been taking it easy on him last night. He lobbed him the bald softie, and Theory just came across as not very good verbally. He's just could not hang. Talking trash with Hollywood has-been. I love John Cena. I'm not saying he's a has-been at all, but right? Like, the guy's been away or whatever. Cena took the mic and just made him look silly. And I don't know if that's even if Theory goes over, people don't forget, man. And it was just a bad look all around. I almost would have preferred, like, Cena to have gone into it with a look. I've been watching you, and you've been carrying the United States title, and I'm sure there are other people in the locker room that deserve this, but I'm coming back for a match at Mania, and I want to challenge you for your United States title. At least make him look like a serious threat. I mean, even the initial no, he said no initially. He was like, yeah, nah. Then he did accept eventually or whatever, but like the whole thing, not a good look for Theory. And I've been, tongue in cheek beating the drum of, I don't really get Theory. I get a lot with the athleticism and the look, but I don't see a whole lot beyond that. There's a lot of truth to the promo, and it's making me more and more nervous by the minute for Theory's future as far as, main event status and advancing beyond this prospect, the hot prospect level.
I mean, you mentioned there that you thought he does have charisma, and that's not what it is. I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm not sure if he does have charisma. Yeah, he has charisma in the way that he walks or whatever, but on the mic, in the way that he competes in the ring, I don't think he always does have charisma. I think that actually might be what he's lacking.
I think that makes total sense, but I really think it has to do with the promo charisma, right? Yeah. Like, he has the look. He's charismatic in the ring, even when he's taunting people in the ring. He works at a pace that makes sense. I don't think it's a bell-to-bell charisma thing per se, right? Like, you can see that he's a serious athlete and a big deal, I guess, in some way. But so I kind of agree with you. We're making like, I think, a distinction without a difference a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the charisma doesn't show through when he has the opportunity on the microphone. And that's the biggest bugaboo. Like, the it factor thing is cliche enough, right? That I don't think it's fully that he has no charisma or he's not charismatic. He hasn't found a way to show it through his promos.
Yeah.
He can show it in the ring. He can show it, walking up and down the ramp in his entrance with his look, but he hasn't found a way to articulate it, I guess. He hasn't shown a way to verbalize it or do it on the mic in promo settings, because that's where his biggest weakness has been. I mean, ask Anthony. I made fun of the baby oil segment with Bobby Lashley for like a month. It was ridiculous. He sounded goofy. He looked goofy. It was goofy. You know, it
truly was.
Yeah, it was just, it was weird, to say the least. It didn't land.
Yeah. And I mean, the weird thing about Theory, though, I mean, you mentioned about it, he really does lack charisma on the mic, is that back in his independent days when I used to watch him in Evolve, we all used to say how much charisma he had on the mic. It's weird. I'm not sure if maybe the bigger crowd or, the bigger stage is just, exposed, or it's harder. I don't know. But, I mean, I've obviously not been there, right? None of us know what that's like, that feeling's like. But it is crazy, the difference at how everyone used to say his strength wasn't in the ring, it was on the mic. And now it's kind of flipped.
Totally flipped.
But Anthony, I know as well you used to watch Evolve. So
yes,
what are your thoughts on Austin Theory and the position that he's in now?
I mean, when I looked at that segment, as entertaining as it was, I don't really understand the logic of it. Cena's going to eviscerate him. And that's one of the characteristics that I think a lot of people underestimate. Cena on the mic can be downright vicious. And that completely destroyed Theory. Now, in his defense, because I don't know, was he being handcuffed with that segment going, no, we want Cena to make you look like you're less than, so when you beat him, like, I don't know. In his defense, maybe he was told to, lay off, take a dive on that. I don't know. But that segment, it buried him so much. I don't know if a win over Cena at Mania is enough to unbury him. Like, it's almost as if he's got to beat Cena, and then the next night, Cena needs to give him his props, like on the mic, and complete the unburial, because I don't know if it is possible for Theory to recover from that. I really don't. In Evolve, I thought he was great on the promos. I thought, he's not MJF. I never thought he was MJF on the mic, but I always thought he was decent. I would call back to when Vince was gone and Theory lost the Money in the Bank, and everyone was like, that's it. That following week on Raw, he delivered a hell of a promo. So I kind of feel like if the handcuffs are off and he's able to really kind of do it, he has it in him. But I mean, worst case scenario, you could always put him with a Paul Heyman or something like that, some type of mouthpiece, because I mean, he is talented. So he's not MJF, he's not Ricky Starks, but again, I think he's a couple of years younger than both of them. I know he's younger than Ricky Starks. I think he might be younger than MJF too. I'm not 100% certain on that.
I'll fact check that right now.
But, they're at least around the same age. I know that.
He's 1 year younger than MJF.
Okay. So, but just in general, like, he is talented, but like that promo, it's a great segment for Cena. I don't see the benefit of burying Theory that badly and anticipating that a win over him at WrestleMania, because Cena's even like, a win over me is like nothing. Like, even if you win, you gotta prove it after that. Like, it was such a burial. Like, I don't understand why they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a hard mountain for Theory to climb. It truly will be. And how he responds and how he takes that promo could actually make his career. It could. If he responds to it well, that could really be his ruthless aggression moment.
Well, yeah, and one thing I would add to even your point, I think Theory's a little more soft-spoken than we realize. And maybe you talked earlier about arena size, and that might be if he can, and I'm not saying like a character, but you think of Cena really took off Dr. Thugonomics. I think, I'm not sure Theory could totally do it, but almost if he went into like a more of a Jake Roberts style promo where he was more cadenced and crazier, started to like lean into a character like Cena drove him crazy.
Yeah.
That might be one way you can bounce back, where all of a sudden now he's obsessed and he talks slower and lower and he gets really intense, because that's where, to me, he looked like the kid getting punked out by the anti-bully, right?
Yeah.
He was the kid that's a bully that got punked out by the older dude that goes like, "Oh, you think you're a bully? Watch this." And it just dogged him. That's what he looked like, right? Like if it was a schoolyard fight, right? It was the senior who came up and go, "Oh, you think you're funny picking on the freshman, sophomore?" And just, right? Like, you think you're that's what it came across as to me. And so if he comes back with like a, "No, you're not going to do that to me. You're not going to embarrass me," and is maybe more reserved, maybe more bring some sort of like a question.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're unsure of what he's thinking now all of a sudden, as opposed to like just being the cocky kid. You know what I mean? Something a little more than that. Maybe you woke something up inside of him. I don't know.
I almost think if he comes back with, and he's like a furious type promo of going, "I'm sick and tired of everybody underestimating me." Like, I almost think he needs to challenge Cena to like a gimmick match, whether it's a chain match, something back from like Cena's past. Like, I almost think he needs a violent match. Like, he really needs a violent match and beat Cena that way, as opposed to one-on-one.
I really like that idea. My only fear is him coming across as whiny. Like if he's doing that, right? I want him. That's why I want him to come back as like so intense. He's like, "I don't care what any of you think. I'm gonna beat you at me." Right? Whatever. Like maybe not that.
More of an intense Jake Roberts like gimmick or whatever. Like you said, slower spoken and all that. Is the way you described it, especially, is kind of what Rollins is doing. And I don't think he can do it as well as Rollins. That's the only issue that I have. And even if it is slightly different, people are going to compare it. And he just can't get away from these comparisons, which is why I think he might just need to go full-blown, full attitude, more of a hardcore type gimmick, I guess. That's why I wouldn't mind your idea, Anthony.
I think different than Rollins, because like less laughing and less of, I mean, I'm talking
Rollins
full intense, straight-faced intensity. Yeah, straight-faced intensity is what I'm thinking. Like just, I don't care what any of you think.
Like a snap.
Oh yeah, you guys think that matters? It doesn't. Watch this.
Yeah, I just in this day and age, it's hard to get that over. It truly, truly is, because of the what chance. The what chance is basically, it's made it nearly impossible. Whereas when Rollins do it, and this, I honestly think this is actually the reason for Rollins' laugh. Rollins, after he says something like that, does go into the laugh. I honestly think it's to stop the what chance. I noticed that a while ago.
I think he's just doing the Joker, man.
They don't do it to Heyman.
I think he's just doing the Joker.
He started doing it after he got the what chance, and then he fully went into it. But it was at the time when it happened. Here's something interesting though, Anthony, which I noticed the other day. Heyman got what chance?
Did he?
On SmackDown.
He typically doesn't.
I know he doesn't.
He typically shoots them down.
The SmackDown crowd I really didn't like this past week. But anyway, let's get into something else which I didn't really like, and that was the Seth freaking Rollins and Logan Paul segment last night. They were both guests on Miz TV. I mean, I think it was technically a Miz TV episode, but it wasn't like a traditional episode. Logan Paul came out. He is now a full-blown heel. He's doing the typical heel stuff. I mean, it's a bit of a big change out of nowhere, where he's suddenly saying, "I wouldn't want to do it in somewhere like Boston." Like, he wasn't a heel this time last year. Nothing's really happened. In fact, I mean, he lost to Roman Reigns, but at the Rumble, he wasn't really like a full-blown heel or anything. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it is a good idea, him being a heel. But I don't think you need him to be having a go at being in, places and stuff like that, because he's naturally a heel anyway. I don't think you need him to do all the classic, lame stuff, because he doesn't need it. People already don't like him. Just have him be egotistical and all that, and it'll be fine. Logan Paul then knocked out Rollins with a lethal right hand. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the segment. I'm actually becoming less and less excited for this match. I'm sure it'll be decent enough in the ring because Rollins is in it. And I mean, Logan Paul clearly works hard, but this build-up I thought could have been a lot better. I much preferred the FaceTime segment last week, partially because of the actual risk that they really did do it over FaceTime. I still can't get over that. The fact they trusted all the connection issues and all that and really did it live over FaceTime. It wasn't the one.
I had to double check the Wi-Fi in the arena for sure.
Yeah. When they did stuff like that with Theory before, it was fake.
Yeah.
It was another thing that they used. They really just did screen share and FaceTime. I found it hilarious. But Anthony, what were your thoughts on this segment? And are you excited at all for this feud?
I'm excited only because I know the match itself will probably deliver, knowing who's in it. I think the way they've been building it, at least Seth with interviews, it's being built as Seth being the face representing the industry, and Logan essentially being the cancer that's infected. Like, he doesn't want him in the industry. So I think with traditional wrestling fans that are opposed to celebrity involvement, I think that gravitates more towards them. I mean, Seth's character has kind of been in between, at least for, obviously after the Cody feud and all that other stuff. He's kind of been leaning towards more the middle. So it does make sense. And Logan, quite frankly, he's a natural heel. Like, people don't like him legitimately. So why he wouldn't lean into that in the first place, I never understood. I'm like, if a huge section of the audience hates you, it's a lot easier to get the half that likes you to hate you, as opposed to the ones that hate you to suddenly love you. I used to say that with Roman too when they were forcing him as a face. Why? It's a lot easier to get people to dislike you than to like you. So, I think the match will deliver. I think Seth needs a win, though. Like, he can't be jobbing out again at a WrestleMania. So if that's the direction they're going, Seth needs to win it, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Seth needs to win, it's undoubtedly, but also it's kind of been billed as a triple threat match to me. The Miz is just always involved. Obviously, it's not happening, but Miz is just involved everywhere. And I guess they're giving him something to do before he hosts WrestleMania.
Well, remember they have history, obviously, because he was in Logan's first match, and it was last year at Mania.
But I'd rather just put Seth and Logan together a bit more, because Miz has been involved in literally every segment this feud, apart from when they kicked off at the Chamber. But what do you think, Clark?
This one's brutal for me. I've been really impressed by Logan Paul since he started. I think Seth Rollins is top 5 in the whole wide world. Really tired of Seth Rollins playing the Joker. It's a little bit like, and not to knock the whole family because I really love both of them, but Becky playing Big Time Bex. I was just done rooting against Becky as Big Time Bex. It was silly. It was Conor McGregor light. He's playing the Joaquin Phoenix Joker light. If he was a heel, maybe it would make more sense. Just like I think maybe if Big Time Bex had somehow turned face in that scenario, I wouldn't have hated it as much. Just kind of done with it. I hope Seth wins and then they each move their separate directions. Would be my hope for this one.
Yeah, it's certainly not something which I think it'll be a good match, but I don't understand what.
Why am I supposed to root for Seth Rollins? He's like a crazy guy.
Yeah, but not only that, right? I mean, he's just people automatically like him and his theme as well. That's a big element of it.
But he's a theme, yeah. But like,
I just don't understand, and I still don't understand what Seth has done to just not become a top main eventer anymore. I don't understand it. They give him one chance again, right? They put him in the mid card, and they give him one more chance in the main event at WrestleMania 35. He won. They booked him awful, and the fans turned against him. He turned heel, but then they took the titles off him before he turned heel and all that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
The Monday Night Messiah was great with AOP. It was great with Buddy and Theory. It was great with. Even the current character is good. It's not a babyface.
I think Seth's kind
of not a babyface.
I think Seth's kind of reached a point where it's like he doesn't necessarily need the title to be over. Like he
No, I
doesn't
know
need to be
that.
elevated. I get why there was not this mad rush to put him back at the top, especially since Roman's running it anyway.
You can say
I
the same
think
thing about Roman,
more
though.
things will open up once the Roman factor is eliminated. I think things will probably shift.
But even before Roman with the Monday Night Messiah and stuff, and even since then, they've been, especially when there was obviously the titles, there was the WWE title on Raw where Rollins was, right? They could have very easily have given him that title. In fact, there was title feuds where I was like, Rollins being involved would be so much more interesting, as Rollins is so damn great, and he could have as a heel, or even with this gimmick or something like that, right? As long as it's not just a traditional babyface gimmick, which clearly never worked for him, as long as it's not that, him having a title run would be excellent, as we know how good he is in the ring. We know how good he is on the mic. He's just money. He could print a lot of money for the company. And I just don't understand why they aren't giving him another shot.
I think the Monday Night Messiah issue with losing the Disciples both times, AOP, and then losing Buddy and Theory, I think as a leader of a heel group, that's where, right? Although I would have said the same thing about Bailey a year ago, so who am I to say that? But at the same time, I think that's kind of that's how you reestablish him as such a huge threat. Is give him some lackeys, let him go on the mic, and let him kind of take over for a bit, maybe to fill the void left by the Bloodline after Mania. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what I think hurt, and this is something to remember, when he was doing the Monday Night Messiah thing, that was during the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
So, when not having crowds there probably hurt it just as much as, anything else. I mean, it was also the Mysterio
Eye for an eye was
taking
ridiculous.
his eye out. I mean, there were a lot of bad, cringy things going on with that Messiah run.
Yeah.
Which
music was great.
Yeah, but just in general, I think a lot of that got hurt by bad booking and no crowds.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. But even still, I don't understand why they're not giving him top storylines. They seem to screw him over every WrestleMania now. Give him a big match at Mania. Give him these big Mania moments. I don't want to see him. Who was he against last year again?
Oh, I believe it was a Nightmare, was it not?
Of course, Cody Rhodes. Sorry, and he did the.
I thought you were being sarcastic there.
KO at 36. It was KO at 36.
The entire, he doesn't have a WrestleMania. Like, they've done gimmick matches year after year. He doesn't have a Mania opponent.
Who was it at 37?
37.
36 was KO. That was the elbow drop off the fake sign or balcony.
I don't even remember 37. Let me get it up.
37 was
now,
Tampa.
But
37 was Tampa. Was he hurt?
Yeah, let me check right now. 37. Clearly,
he did miss one due to injury, but I don't
remember.
Cesaro, and he put Cesaro over.
It was a banger, but again, it's not a major match, right?
He put Cesaro over.
It frustrates me. But hopefully after Mania, Rollins does get a main event push again because he's main event material. He's better than Bobby Lashley. He's better than half of these people in the main event, if I'm being completely honest here, right? The only person in the company who I think is actually better main event draw than him in terms of like how he, not main event draw, I need to reword that, is better quality of a champion than him. I'd say the only person who could contend is Roman Reigns and maybe Cody Rhodes.
Brock Lesnar.
Apart from that, I'd say he's the best in the company.
What about Brock?
What?
He's never there.
Becky Lynch.
That's the thing. I mean, he's there once, but
Lynch is more entertaining than Brock. I'm sorry, he is.
Well, Becky.
Right? Well, I mean, perhaps, but I was more talking in the men's division because I think Tony can win.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
But that basically wraps up today's episode, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be taking a couple of day break now. I'll be back on Saturday because I've got some stuff to take care of. But Clark will be here taking the reins for the next couple of days. Anthony will be back on Throwback Thursday this Thursday. I think it's
tomorrow. He's my co-host tomorrow.
By the way, boss man, I'm going to be here tomorrow too.
Yeah. Soul's also on tomorrow.
Yes, we're going at 1 though. So
okay, cool.
10 a.m. Hawaiian.
10 a.m. Hawaiian. That is 9 p.m. British time. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave a thumbs up as well, as that really does help us out a lot. Please share with your friends as well. We are here every day. Thank you guys for watching, and we hope you have a great day and evening.